From the studios of Foxboro Cable Access, located in the center of Foxborough, Massachusetts, you are watching Around Foxborough.
Hello, I'm Joe Sanders, your host for Around Foxborough, and today our special guest is Paul Connors. Paul, welcome, first of all.
Thanks, Joe.
Paul happens to be the founder and the chairman of the board at Help Us Help Nurses. I did a little research, but I want to hear from you. But it says here to champion the well-being and professional growth of nurses. That's a pretty general thing. But tell us, Paul, how did you get interested in this field at all?
So during the pandemic, it was the lack of PPE that really kind of like kicked this off.
So PPE, explain what that means.
Personal protective equipment.
Okay.
It would be a mask in this situation. The nurses, everybody was running out of masks.
Sure.
So my wife's an ER nurse.
Okay.
And to hear that as a husband, that your wife's potentially running out of masks and there's a pandemic coming, didn't make sense.
Yeah.
What could I do, you know?
Okay.
And that's one way that her nurse manager said we could help, would be to learn how to sew and make masks.
Okay.
So
that triggered the kind of that was kind of the initial spark for the Help Us Help Nurses organization.
I think so for this, yeah. It's in my nature to want to help, especially the nurses, and just, it was scary times for everybody. And I mean, it's, you know, I learned the only way you could change the outcome is by how you change your reaction, right?
Okay.
So there was always going to be an event, right?
Right.
This event was the pandemic.
Yeah.
What's your reaction going to be?
Well, Paul, candidly, you and I have talked before the show, and you've shared some other things with me that really had an influence on you. Would you mind sharing that with us now?
No, not at all. And I guess that's why I said, like, it didn't matter what they needed for me to do to help. I was gonna do it. It's been a personal mission of mine for 22 years. My brother had a pretty severe accident where he fell off of a balcony. He had a traumatic brain injury, he was in a coma. You know, we went in to say goodbye to him at least 3 times.
Wow.
So when he was in that coma, I prayed to everything holy. I covered all my bases. I made sure that, you know, if he made it through that coma, that I would do nothing but help people the rest of my life. And it was just a personal mission. He made it through the coma. I've really put a lot of attention into trying to make something good out of something bad every chance I can, and make sense out of my brother's accident and honor my brother's accident.
Wow.
And it really got driven home 12 years later when my wife's younger brother had another tragic accident.
Oh my.
And it was like, just to see him make it through that with, you know, positivity, family, friends, what it took to get through that type of stuff.
Right.
I feel like it's my duty, it's my calling is to, you know, any chance I can, I will help somebody.
You know, you use that trigger calling, the magic trigger, the way I call it. Much of what I've done in my life is very similar, but I remember, I'm not sure how this is related, but when I was in the Army, I taught ROTC at Rutgers University, and the nursing program there, the students that we had that were student nursing, you know, preparing to become nurses, you know, their BSN, they really sacrificed a lot.
Yeah.
And I was actually married to a nurse for a while, and the stories I heard about what nurses have to do, I mean, I guess the point is, it is a calling, and it's not easy.
Yeah, and if you were married to one, you saw like what I would see. I mean, those nurses, they don't just, all of a sudden they come home from work and they shake whatever they dealt with that day. They take on a lot for a lot of families.
It's hard to leave it at the office, so to say, right?
They absorb so much, it's hard, you know, that's a big part of what we're doing here too. The more we looked into it since we did start the nonprofit, we said, well, what challenges can we help with? And a lot of their challenges right now that are really severe is the burnout and the ratios of nurses to patients and their safety. It's like some major concerning things, not just as a husband, but as community members.
I've heard not only just from you, but about you know they're leaving. You know, they can't it's too much pressure
Right.
over time.
Right.
And that's, again, your organization, Help Us Help Nurses. Is there a nickname for is it?
We call it HUHN a lot of times, and between the
okay.
board and stuff. But
Okay.
it's you don't want to really be calling anything like the Hun Award or
Yeah,
anything like
okay, I
that.
gotcha.
So it just doesn't work out well.
Yeah.
But that's our initials. But
So it's was there anything else personally you wanted to share about your commitment to this organization, how it started, or?
It's just it started off me trying to help my wife, and then her friends, and the amount of people that I've found in my life. It's so prevalent when you try to help somebody, and then all of a sudden you don't realize it, but that person, in turn, when you realize that you did help them or you made a difference to that person, like how rewarding it is.
Yeah.
To yourself,
Exactly.
right? And that you
Absolutely.
were seen, and that made a difference,
Yeah.
right? So that's how this has gotten to this. We haven't taken a dollar. Nobody's gotten paid. We've built this over the last 4 years of all volunteers, and we went from making a couple grand here, a couple grand there. That now each event we're hopefully going to be raising, could be $10,000 to $20,000, and give that all back to. So it's really starting to spread. It's really giving other people an opportunity to do what I love doing, and helping other people, putting yourself out there.
Well, I have to bring this up because it's so relevant. I think I work in the middle school, and I work with 5th and 6th graders mostly. And one of the things I tell these kids, I said, there's one thing that no matter what's going on in life, you can do, and you're going to be better off. In other words, if you're depressed about something or feeling bad, help somebody else out. It just happens to be the trait of a good leader. So no matter if you're happy, not happy, help someone else out, and you'd be surprised at what happens. And what you've mentioned, you help someone else and things start to roll.
Yeah, it was. That's it in a nutshell. With the pandemic, I just knew. I knew when I said when I offered to help, it didn't matter. Like literally what she said. I just knew that now my energy, my focus, everything's going to go into helping other people. Then you next thing you know, you start seeing that you are making a difference, or you hear something from that nurse or that nursing student that's telling you inspired them, and you're like, I'm just trying to help because I like helping. But it's contagious. It spreads. It's like right now, it's perfect timing. This world is just like in such chaos. I'm going to keep helping people because I don't have the time.
The market's not going to dry up, I don't think.
No. So
there's always going to be people needing help.
Yeah.
I just, I've had, I didn't mention this before, but I've had, 4 major surgeries where I've watched nurses, and I'm amazed at the professionalism that I see, and then the things that get put on top of them to do that might be out of their scope of their job. I'm going to get political, but it's a great cause. So tell us some of the things that you guys get involved with.
So this year we're doing a Topgolf fundraiser the day before St. Patrick's Day. So we're kind of tie that into a pre-St. Patty's Day celebration.
Oh boy,
like the good old days.
Someone might be calling for a nurse.
Yeah, they'll be there. Usually there's always nurses and nursing students. All our events, they're always volunteering.
Yeah.
It's a big part of it. We've already had 3 annual golf tournaments.
Okay.
So now I have probably 10 nurses that love to be there for the day. They sell the raffle tickets. I tell everybody that those are the nurses. People thank them all day long.
Yeah.
So for them to hear, and at the end of the day, they're telling me how they had such an incredible day, and it was so much fun, and we raised money for them.
I saw. Excuse me while I look. I wrote something down from some of your things that I read off your website, and one thing I really says one of your aims is to elevate the nursing profession, ensuring a healthier and more compassionate future for both nurses and the communities they serve. That's the first time I've ever seen an organizational statement where you're actually trying to help the ones that help everyone else.
Yeah.
Taking care of those who take. Can you speak to that a little bit?
So it's the way that this is materialized. The more that we've researched it and how many challenges there are. I went in and presented to the Mass Nursing Association, the board of nurses. That's all the union nurses. It was 25, 30. nurses, and I got to, I spoke about my brother's accident and what the nurses did for my family. I spoke about my brother-in-law's accident and thanked them for what they did then. My father, passed away of cancer about 1.5 years ago. Those nurses got us through that. So it's just, I've put myself out there, I've thanked, and then every time I've done it, I've turned around. That M&A, they support us now. They want to be involved in some of the fundraisers that we're doing. And, a lot of the nurses, have reached out and thanked me, and there were, tears and hugs. And they said that they've never had somebody step up that wanted to help nurses the way that I'm passionate about it. But it's, for some reason, it's the way my life's gone. I've been around it. I've spent at least 1 year's worth of hours sitting there watching them take care of my immediate family, and they've all made it through. And so there's a lot of faith in there. There's a lot of just trying to do the good, the right thing. There's it's putting yourself out there, and
Now, have you seen, for example, if someone, a student, any grade is interested at all in going into the nursing field, is there anything that you would say to them that you would recommend that they do, no matter, could it be middle school, high school?
I think what helps, I have 2 daughters. One's a freshman at Curry. She's in the nursing program. She's been reading my wife's nursing books since she was about 4, right? Wow. And the other youngest daughter's a senior in Foxborough, and she's going to be going to nursing school next year.
Okay.
And she's done the same thing. So they love the sciences, they love reading, they love helping people. So it would just be working hard, getting into it, and studying, because it's like the amount of studying that they need to do to get through. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they do it.
I remember. Now this was back in the 1980s. Yeah. So this is 40 years ago. But I remember that because I was recruiting people for the program, and for the ROTC program. And I remember that if we had a nursing student that wanted to go into the ROTC program to become an Army nurse, they got a full ride scholarship. I mean, they're in such demand. Which is that's good in some ways, because if you really want to do it, you could probably do it. But again, there's such demand because there aren't enough of them. Right.
And that's a big part of this problem. I think even since the 80s, a lot of the statistics I've seen is, ideally we would be trending in a positive direction with more and more nurses, less and less need, right?
Right.
It's not going that way. It's it's plateaued, and then it dropped since the pandemic, but the patient's needs are getting worse and worse, so it's compounding. All the burnout is severe with the nurses. Mental health, I mean, not just the rest of the country, but these nurses are the ones that absorb so much of it, and abuse, physical, mental, so there's a lot of things that the nurses need. I'm going to just, my team, since we started, we're starting to make a little bit of a difference. And,
now, just curious, your organization, I know why you're in it. Do you, are people allowed to volunteer to become part of your organization? How would they do that?
So any way that people want to follow us, or just through the website, or reach out. I have all my personal information on everything. I haven't said no to one idea or one person that wants to do something. A lot of people make recommendations, and I say, well, do it, because I don't know how to do that, but I agree. And then all of a sudden, I have the website being worked on, by friends that knew how to do that stuff. I have an awesome group of women now that are doing the event planning for me. So it's awesome. It's going to be able to grow, and they're just as passionate about the need and for nurses.
So another thing that just came to my mind is we're talking right now, but if for example, I work at the middle school. They sometimes will have professional professional days where people
Yeah.
come in and present. Is that something that if someone will reach out to you, or I think you told me you work full time outside, or
Yep.
so you wouldn't be maybe as available every day. But if we want to get someone in to talk about the nursing profession,
Yeah.
is that something your organization could support?
I would say definitely. I mean, that's something we're looking to build relationships right now, and I have a good 5 or 6 Massachusetts nursing schools that we're talking to about partnering up with on a bunch of different ventures, and co-branding with them on some of the opportunities that we've had come up.
Great.
So yeah, but that's all part of it. Yeah, the advocacy.
Absolutely.
I would go to the junior high and talk to them. I look forward to getting in with the trade schools with young electricians and stuff. And once this gets up and running a little more self-sufficient.
I would, as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking of what you do for a living, and I'm thinking about safety and the stories you've told already about your family and how
I drive guys crazy on job sites.
The whole prevention item. Nurses, they're there because most of the time there's something that's happened that isn't good. So they got to help repair. Right. But it would be if the workload was less, it would make their life more tolerable as far as that's concerned. It said I was also thinking to ask you about. The golf outing. You mentioned a couple before golf. Is this a golf? Is this actually a day of golf or the driving range?
This is a driving range, but it's Top Golf. I mean, they're designed. They got outdoor bays, even if it's raining out or freezing out. It's very comfortable. It's great food. There's 2. The presidential suite opens up, which is inside. So we'll have raffle tables. I have a silent auction. We have a band coming. It's going to be an event. I'm trying to get as many nurses.
What day of the week is that?
It's October 16th. It's
March 16th.
Sunday.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, March.
It's a Sunday. 16th. Okay. Yeah, I might have to check that out.
That's funny. So yeah, it is. It's a good time. Another one that we're planning right now, and I'm just waiting to hear back from actually the theater in the center of town. I want to do a trivia night, like a Family Feud. We were thinking if we did it right before the finals for the nursing finals, and we did it on nursing curriculum, and we had nurses versus nursing students, and then it'd be great for the networking, great to support nurses. They could see the community come out to support them. Everybody there will get to see the curriculum that these men and women need to learn to help all of us, and again, some live music and stuff. If anything they'll allow me to do. I have a lot of friends that like to, entertain and
push the envelope a little bit. That's good.
It's all for a good cause, so it really is. It's like I feel like I'm turning into like an event planner type of thing, but it's like just getting friends together, and then we come out of it with scholarships. And you do the basic math. 10 grand a year in 10 years is $100,000.
So you mentioned scholarships, and I'm very interested in that. I think I saw on your website there's a place if students want to apply for the scholarship.
Yeah, I believe it's the first page of our website you open up, and there's a section to apply for a scholarship.
Okay, this would be somebody who's in high school, I imagine?
Yep. We the way the mission statement and what we're trying to do is help as many people as we can. So it's from CNA, or it's a MNA now. It's a nursing assistant. Right up to the BSN or bachelor's in science, or even the master's. Any challenges that we can help these nurses get to the next level. One program we might do is pay for the to go get their NPLEX as soon as they graduate and they're ready to go get their license.
Now, is NPLEX, what is that?
It's the state certification.
Okay.
And a lot of nursing students might procrastinate because they don't have that extra $300 or $400, and they might not be ready. But realistically, you want to go as soon as you graduate. It's not going to get any easier. So
I remember when I went to engineering school, and I made sure I took the engineering and training exam while I was in college.
I might have gone from a prep course to take my license as an electrician, and then when I pulled out of the driveway, I forgot most of it.
I was prep for the test, right?
Yeah, so stuff like that. Anything that we can do to help these nurses kind of fill the You know, and then they're going to learn it when they get out there anyways. We got to get them through nursing school, right? So a lot of that's going to be mentorship, you know, hopefully education. The more I look into it, it's going to take years to be able to, you know, offer that. But we're starting to prepare that stuff now and figure out what we need in 3 years to be ready to have education for nurses at, you know, long term. Would be nice to have wellness center. Help Nurses Wellness Center, where it was kind of like everything under one roof, right? You have some therapists for the nurses that are burning out. You have some you know, mental health advocates. You have different yoga studio for you know, nutritionist classes, education, mentorship. You know, but somewhere really for the nurses, and it'll end up all nurses because that's who really takes care of each other. But you know, to maybe give them that resource and let them know that we got their back.
I think that's something so needed. I mean, when I first found out that we were going to be speaking today, and I thought, oh yeah, I can't wait, because again, I said I've had 4 major surgeries myself, and just remembering what, you know, you watch a lot, you can learn a lot from, and I, you know, just the how much is on their plate when they're on duty, you know, and you say, wait a minute, didn't you go home? Not yet, you know, I mean, that kind of thing, the hours.
So I noticed that when my dad was sick, I was at hours and hours every day at Dana-Farber.
Right.
So you have a terrible day. At the end of the day, I would just wait in the parking lot and wait for a nurse to come. And I'd say, can I pay for your parking? I had a bad day. I just want to do something nice for somebody. And I want to thank a nurse. And every time, no. I said, but listen, I actually have a nonprofit, and I'd show them the card. It says, help us help nurses.
Yeah, like, so let me do my job.
I started this to do stuff like this. I want to thank you, please. And so they'd let me, and it was like,
oh, that's good.
Almost every time though, it was like, that nurse just worked 17 hours, you know, or 16 hours, and you see her dragging, and then she's there the next day doing this, you know, every day.
Well, that's a good real-world practical application of your mission.
Yeah.
I like that.
I mean, I do the same. If you know, it's not hard to pick them out of a crowd, usually with the scrubs or their name tag on, because they're just flying and they're eating on their way to work, or they just got out of work and they got 5 minutes to grab something before they go get their kids.
No, I like that. I like that story. That's a good, you know, and it's really, it's about relationships. And of course, when a nurse, like they're called, like I said, they're not used to people taking care of them. It's always them taking care of others, right? So you doing that probably freaked her out. But it's good if they can learn to let it down a little bit, like someone really cares, and I think that's really huge.
And the more you do push or you put in, you know, I've gotten a couple of nurses from my Dana-Farber in Boston, a couple of half a day at the wellness center, Modern Wellness. They saw what I was doing. They offered a couple of nurses to a half a day at the spa.
Oh,
so I went in and I offered them that, and you know, we're trying to set up programs now through them. You know, maybe 10 nurses a month type of thing. You know, and we can have the program set up through our website, where those donations from Topgolf go to, you know, physical wellness.
Like you know, we've kind of beat this around, but when you're called, like you are, in this role, there's no stopping. You don't want to stop, because it basically, the more you do it, you know you're helping someone who needs it,
and it feels good. It feels right. It's just not it's just one of those.
Well, we've almost run out of time, Paul. Is there anything you'd like to say now to wrap it up, and anything you haven't told us, or you'd like to emphasize more than anything else?
Thank you for your time. As much as you researched me, I researched you. And I thank you for your service, and you know, welcome to the town, and thanks for having me on here.
Of course,
making this kind of easy for me. You know.
All right, Paul. Well, I look forward to getting to know you better over time. I'm planning on staying here, so. Folks, that's all we have today. This is Joe Sanders, your host again on Around Foxborough.